Welcome to the Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. This podcast is dedicated to providing the key ingredients to transform your employees into a dream team, creating consistent results in every aspect of your business, including your people, your process, and your profits. Your team empowerment, leadership, business development, communication, hiring, and firing. As some of the country's leading staffing and management consultants, we help business owners, i.e. entrepreneurs, and the team that support them, what we call intrapreneurs, to powerfully connect and work together to grow the business. Welcome to today's episode of Hiring and Empowering Solutions. My name is Molly McGrath, and welcome to our repeat customers and listeners. And welcome if you are a brand new listener listening for the very first time. We would love for you to go back and listen to any prior episodes and make certain that you do subscribe to our feed to hear about all future episodes. We do launch our podcast every Tuesday on a weekly basis, so please stay tuned, join our blog, get our notices, join the subscriber feed so you make certain that you do not miss out on any business building topics that we speak about. So today we are going to talk about a hot topic. Today's about employees. Your attorney is desperate for you to start doing this. And I had to hop on today's podcast and just capture this while it's fresh in my mind, because this seems to be the common conversation that we hear when we get calls from law firms across the country, either asking about hiring needs, or they may be asking about coaching and consulting and team empowerment, all which is under our wheelhouse for the past 22 years. And today I had a fascinating conversation with the law firm in Melbourne, Florida, and we're supporting them with hiring a client service coordinator. And I was speaking with the primary attorney and an associate attorney and asked them, tell me a little bit about what hasn't worked in this role. I don't want to hear about the skills and knowledge, all that other jazz. Tell me about the human stuff. What are the things that you are not seeing that you have been desperate to witness and experience in your past employees in this position? And they thought about it, and the associate attorney said, I just wish that somebody would tell us what to do. And then the primary attorney piggybacked off of that and said, I just don't understand how to get employees to really believe us when we tell them that we need them to kick our butts, for a lack of a better term. We feel like we've given them full permission. We've given them the responsibility. We've given them the tools and techniques that you and Lainey have shared with us over the years in regards to how to have honest, respectful conversations and all the other different things that we speak about in our 66-day law firm turnaround process and book. And please do download that from our website if you haven't. And we had this fascinating conversation, and it really came down to one thing that we talked about that we see that has been missing in candidates and past employees that will not own their role and really embody the permission that they have to hold their attorneys and their support team accountable. And it came down to confidence. And we had this really amazing conversation, because these two attorneys in the law firm as a whole, they're extraordinary. We typically do not work with any law firms unless they have the mindset that employees are an asset and that they are not a liability, that they value their employees and they see that their employees are the ones that are going to tell them what to do versus just do your job and keep your mouth shut. And I go through a very, very extensive vetting process before I take on clients. I actually say no to more people than I do yes in regards to supporting them with their hiring and empowering initiatives. And this firm, they're wonderful. They make it really safe, very approachable, and they value their employees. They treat them well. They pay them well. They give them access to national coaching and personal and professional development. But for whatever reason, and I hear this every day, the employees don't believe it. They flat out do not believe that they have permission to say, listen, you've missed this deadline. You're running late to all of your appointments and whatever else they're seeing that is hindering the success of the firm. And what I've found is that there's this mindset that if I tell my boss, quote unquote boss, what to do, I'm going to get fired. And I always tell people, you're going to get fired because you're missing deadlines and you're dropping balls left and right. And when your job is to own the calendar, your job is to manage the files, manage the database management process, and make certain that the workflow has all the triggers and chains properly project managed out. So either way that you look at, what do you have to lose? Because when you're through the interviewing process, the onboarding process, it's very clear what your roles, your job description are, calendar management, especially if you're sitting in this position, in this example, client service coordinator. Your job is to be a professional babysitter, to own that calendar, to tell the attorney and or anybody else that you're responsible for managing and leading where they're missing deadlines, where they're dropping balls, etc., where they're consistently ruining and messing with the process. And so often we'll hear, well, I gave that to you and you never got it back to me. Or I had put that on your calendar and it's up to you to know where to be and where to show up. And I tell employees all the time, listen, if you want raises, you want opportunities, you want to grow and expand, which you tell us during the interviewing process, the possibility of that and the opportunities for that are 100% attached to your ability to use your voice and to have the courage to anchor to that and consistently practice and exercise that muscle. So employees, your attorneys, your entrepreneurs, your boss, whatever terminology resonates with you, not only are they giving you permission to kick their butts, if you will, they are desperately depending on you to do that. Now, we're not saying that you just recklessly listen to this podcast and walk into their office like a wrecking ball and said, you gave me permission to listen to this Molly chick and I'm doing what she told me. And that's not what we're saying here, because your delivery and your tonality are crucial in coming from a place of honest, well-respectful. Coming from a place with a CEO, entrepreneur mindset, all those terms that you hear us speak and write about for so many years. So my drive-by coaching to you all and the tips that I want to leave here today on this podcast for you as an employee, and if you're an entrepreneur and you're an attorney listening to this, or a manager, supervisor, law firm administrator, whatever your title is, I highly recommend that if you truly believe this in your bones, that you are desperate for your employees to truly step up and start leading and navigating and project managing all things in regards to people, process, profit, calendar, all the parts of your practice that lead to a successful practice, and share this podcast with them. So my drive-by coaching to the employees for you to start, even when you're shaking in your boots, even when you're afraid that you're going to get fired and or get shut down by your attorney, you still do it anyways and practice it, because there is a strategic system and process methodically laid out in our 66-day law firm turnaround book on our website. You can download that. It's a 10-week process that you can follow step by step by step. But one thing I would say is for you to sit down with your attorney and have a conversation with them and clarify and verify with them. Okay, I want to confirm that 100% you are ready to let go of control and allow me to manage the calendar, the workflow, the deadlines, and I have your full permission to hold your feet to fire. Don't worry about how I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow the practices from Hiring and Empowering Solutions, but I need your verbal okay. And even on our website, we have a rules of engagement that you can download, and it will support you in regards to some boundaries and some consequences, if you will, of what each one of you are going to agree to start implementing this as a best practice approach in your firm. So number one is to sit down and have that honest, well, respectful conversation and then get permission. Number two is to get their buy-in and their agreement that you are going to come back and you're going to schedule a place and time that's predetermined on their calendar for 1 hour, that you're going to come back to them and you figure out, I would say probably no less than a week, because if you put it off for too long, barring that there's no vacations and or pre-existing engagements that are on the calendar that cannot be moved, but that you can come back to them and have a dedicated, what we like to call a strategic assistant meeting with them. Same place, same time, every single week, that you're going to come back and you're going to meet with them and you are going to propose what it looks like, what their top revenue producing activities are, where the areas are that they need accountability and they need some structure, and they do need for you to step up and lead and to hold them accountable. So for example, they might be consistently running 15 minutes late to every meeting. They may not be getting documents back to you till the client's pulling in the parking lot, and it's delegating back up to you and causing havoc on your world in regards to making changes, printing, assembling, whatever moving pieces come with that. So you're going to come to them with a proposed solution and brainstorm with them and figure out the areas that they want accountability on in regards to the day-to-day operations. So what we need to do to keep the lights on, to fulfill on our promises in the marketplace, that what their top priorities that they serve is their role as the attorney, and put it from a place of day-to-day operations. So come up with that list. You come with your proposed areas because nobody knows better than you, number one. And then number two, you allow them the opportunity to brain dump all the areas from the day-to-day that they know from their seat that they're sitting in that they need help and accountability because it's stressing them out. They're working at midnight or 5 o'clock in the morning to deliver on the part that and the role that they serve in, and it's just not working because it's not ran in a very strategic way. It's always last minute Larry, if you will, and causing enormous stress and resentment and burnout for them. So that's about the day-to-day operations. The third, I would say, is what are you not getting to? That you is based on growth and future based, where you need accountability and project management, and allow for them to brain dump that to you and give you the opportunity to download all the things. And this is liquid gold here, employees. This is where you're really, really going to communicate your strength and your value in regards to giving them a safe place to really communicate and express the things that they are not getting to that will drive future business, that allows for them to feel and operate and act like an entrepreneur because they're not stuck on the daily grind hamster wheel, just processing paper or owning a job, if you will. So that's the third one that you want to talk about, future base. Then you'll go back to your desk. And from there, you have your rules of engagement of how you're going to hold them accountable, what it looks like, what they are giving you permission, responsibility, agreement, authority to do, and then what the consequences are, if you will. And have fun with this. We have so many ideas in our book in regards to how to have fun with this. Sometimes they have to give you a $10 bill every time they blow off a deadline, or you get so many people, and we've shared this in our books and our blogs over the the years have really shared some fun and exciting and creative ideas of what they do around this. But make it fun, make it a little bit where it stings. You might get a full day off every time, something that's pretty significant. If they're constantly procrastinating and or missing deadlines in regards to document creation, drafting, review, whatever it might be, you all know where the bottlenecks are and the pitfalls in regards to your practice. And it's significant. There's revenue attached to it. There's reputation attached to it. There's relationships attached to it. So make it sting. You might say that you get a full day off work every time they miss the deadline, whatever it might be. So be creative. If you need any ideas, please reach out to us. We love to help with this, but make certain that it's clear, concise, well communicated, documented in writing. Get their signature. They are attorneys. So you want to make certain that you get that from them as well. So that's one way for you to really start project managing this, putting it hardwired into your calendar with upfront, clear, concise agreements. And then from there, start talking about their time template and what that looks like. And on average, how much time it's going to take them to do these activities that they're consistently procrastinating on, and or the ones that they never even get to because they are always looking at the day-to-day, not looking at the growth, and or the things that are causing them a tremendous amount of stress that they're not going to, they're procrastinating, they're avoiding because it's not within their unique ability. They don't love to review documents or do billing or whatever it might be. You all know what that is in your practice. And from there, start chunking it out. And this is where you start to build the accountability. Then you have your blueprint, if you will, of what you're going to be holding them accountable. So, for example, I had a call with a firm yesterday in regards to this for an associate attorney. We broke down all the pieces that they're responsible for pushing a file to trial. It's a litigation practice. And we broke it down and we spent some time brainstorming on it. And we came up with their formula for success. They need to be reviewing 5 files a day. Each one of them will have anywhere an average of 3 to 5 different actions, which could either be, requesting a depo or expert witnesses or mediation or whatever it might be. They know what their 3-5 different areas would be for possibility to move that file and to push that file forward. So from there, we realized, okay, the average action is about an hour and 15 minutes, let's say an hour and a half, just for some wiggle room here. So we know the associate needs to be touching 5 files a day, moving them forward, spending an average of an hour and a half per file, and billing 7 hours a week, or a day rather, making certain that the time is documented and inputted in Clio by the end of the day. And then also that each action plan, it's a tool and a strategy that they use and the terminology that they use, that an action plan is completed for each one of those files by the end of the day. Clear, concise, well communicated, very much specific, measurable KPIs all over the board attached to that one. So something like that gives you an example of exactly what they need to do. Because when we started breaking this down, it was significant, hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're leaving on the table and or losing by not operating by this very intentional, methodical way of operating day to day. That now, granted, most attorneys don't love adding their notes, building their action plans. And billing, it's the biggest headache in every firm for all paraprofessionals, paralegals, attorneys alike. They hate entering the notes in the database, entering their time, what have you, and then it becomes this ginormous snowball project at the end of the week and end of the month that causes so much heartache and headache and frustration unnecessarily for everyone. So that's an example of ultimately what you want your accountability, your professional babysitting plan, your professional NAG plan. I don't care what terms resonate with you and you want to use. I always tell people it's an absolute honor if you get the job to be able to babysit and navigate and project manage your attorneys and your law firm, that means it's a highest compliment possible that they trust you, that to turn all that over and give you permission to really hold their feet to the fire, because all entrepreneurs are desperate for that, for somebody to protect their time, to protect their reputation, because that is what is at stake, and ultimately the profit. If I don't get this stuff done, and I will procrastinate. I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, open up the dictionary, and the definition is definitely going to have the terminology procrastination in there. So it comes with the job. It comes with the territory. So that's why they surround themselves with people, if you're familiar with the Colby, with high fact finders and really great strategic and administrative assistants to support them. So I don't know where the disconnect is in regards to employees, me communicating this on this podcast, and then your attorneys telling you that, because I know they do. I sit on hundreds of Zooms a month in boardrooms with law firms across the country, where I see the attorney have virtually crocodile tears in their eyes saying, please, just somebody help me and manage me and tell me where to be, what to do, make certain that I'm not dropping the balls. And the team members having this look of terror on their face. They'll say they'll do it, and they really truly want to do it. But the disconnect and the gap, if you will, is, can I really believe and trust that they're going to allow for me to do this? Because here's the deal. It's not going to happen on the first time. They are going to try to, depending on what mood you find them in, and we hear this all the time, depending on what the stress is of the week on the calendar and what they have stress coming at them from a professional and personal basis as well, it's not going to go swimmingly. It's not going to go smoothly, and it's not going to be perfect the first time. Second time, fifth time, possibly not. But your job is to remind them and reflect back to them to say, listen, remember that meeting that we had when we came up with our rules of engagement, and you shared with me that this is what you need to accomplish: X amount in a month in revenue, X amount of files going forward on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, whatever it is. Speak in data and speak in terms, no blame, no make wrong, anything of that nature in regards to what's at stake. So I just want to remind you, you wanted me to hold you accountable on X, Y, and Z. Here's what's at stake if we don't do that. You're leaving for vacation on Thursday, and you have 4 hours of work to do. So can I please call your wife and tell her you're not going to be home until later, and just let's sit here and crank it. I'll order pizza. I'll sit here with you. Whatever it needs to take, give me your cell phone. I'm blocking it up until you get the work done. I'm removing all distractions, reasons, excuses, everything from your office, for just so there's no temptation there. That's the level that you need to come to this game with, employees. This is the level that your attorneys have been telling us for years they're desperate for, and they are giving you permission to do. So the disconnect in when you say, yes, I can do it, and actually happening and occurring, bringing this full circle in our conversation today, we realize it's the lack of confidence in the faith, and that you can trust this, that you're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to get fired. They are going to violate it. Just know that going in. And I always say, I don't care. I'm not giving up. Just so you know, I'm going to be back here in an hour. Just so you know, give me your cell phone. I'm locking you in the conference room. I already got water, coffee, a sandwich, everything for you. Don't even leave here to go to the bathroom before you even get in. You have 1 hour. Crank out these 4 documents. There is $30,000 sitting on that conference room that I can collect by Friday. And when you speak in those terminologies, and you show up with your commitment and conviction to their dreams for them getting on that vacation on Thursday and being present with their family versus working on the airplane or whatever it might be, when you remind them of their hopes, goals, and dreams in spite of themselves, and you speak into what's at stake and what the cost is if they don't put the time in, 9 out of 10 times you will get their attention. And sometimes there is that 110, 50%. Some days it's going to be 80% through the whole week. You're like, oh gosh, he or she was fighting me tooth and nail every step of the way. I always say, I don't care. I'm stronger than you and I'm not backing down, because hopefully you have a bonus or you have some reward at the end at stake, and you can remind them of that too. All right, this is impacting me. This is impacting the firm bonus, whatever it might be. And from that place, you can typically get their commitment and their attention. So I would love to hear from you all, from you employees that are struggling with this, that are really shaking in your boots, that have that fear that, can I really trust this? Can I really do this? Because our next podcast that we're going to be broadcasting is actually, you're going to hear from an employee that has done this, and she failed miserably multiple times, called me in tears for many, many weeks in regards to how this isn't going to work for her attorney. I hear that all the time. There's no way this isn't going to work for my attorney. But if your attorney is sharing this podcast with you, and or you're going back to them and you're sharing this information with them, and you get their agreement and they are desperate for this, I promise you, once you get their agreement, it will work. There'll be a tremendous amount of trial and error. There'll be a tremendous amount of resistance. But if your commitment to the firm goals, your commitment to helping them rebuild healthy best practice habits, because that's all this is. It's just habits. The most successful, I don't care if it's professional athlete, if it's a Hollywood movie star, if it's business owner, whatever you resonates with you, the success is 100% attached to the accountability and the consequences that those folks surround themselves with. So I'm here to tell you that your attorneys are calling me, they are emailing me, and they are desperate for somebody to step up and lead and start telling them what to do. So often when I get on the phone with the attorneys, music to my ears is when I hear, well, she's the boss of me. I'm not the boss. She's the boss. And they really, truly mean that. And they don't do anything without, they'll say, don't even talk to me. Go through Susie. I don't do anything without going through Susie, because I mess it up. And she's my professional nag. She's the one who's going to keep me honest here. So I'd love to hear from anyone listening to this that really is scared to death to do this, that you've tried it before, it hasn't worked. It might be something where you're deathly, even though your attorney says it, this is what I hear often. I know they tell you that, Molly, but I don't trust it, because I've seen when other employees have done this, tried to hold them accountable, tried to, kick their butt, so to speak, for deadlines. And I've seen the backlash. They're no longer here, or whatever proof or evidence that you have. Don't hang your hat on that. Don't accept that as an absolute truth or self-fulfilling prophecy, because you don't know the backstory. You don't know why they're not there. But I can promise you that it's not because they tried to support their attorney and hold their feet to the fire in spite of themselves to the goals, dreams, mission, vision, value that they have for their firm. So please reach out to me. I'd love to. On my website, Hiring and Empowering Solutions, you can go to the Contact Us page and you can schedule a complimentary discovery call for 30 minutes. And I would love to hear from the employees. Truly, I'm deeply curious to see where the disconnect is from having that permission, responsibility, authority to be able to do this, and taking that leap of faith and being able to implement it. And then we'll come back on a future episode to speak into some of the feedback we get from them. Until next time. this Hiring and Empowering Solutions, and we look forward to you listening to our future podcasts.